Live from Buck Island, British Virgin Islands. This is your motivational, sensational, inspirational, educational, aspirational, international, keenly awaited, daily created, highly anticipated edition of the afternoon swing trading floor with your humble host, Jeremy Alexander Newsom, with another daily dose of mentally delicious brain food, reminding each of you to love life, live life, and trade it. Folks and friends, team and family, fans and followers from around the world, welcome to your Wednesday real life stock review, afternoon room, swing trading room. Let's go talk about swing trades. Let's talk about the market. Let's talk about what we're looking at, why you're looking at it, where you're looking at it, all the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a selling day. Hooray! I love it. Finally getting some selling. Definitely an interesting day. I mean, this is a very, very common day when you get the gap up and fade down. It's just a really, really, it's a frequent occurrence. It absolutely happens very often in the market. I mean, you have theirs in a day like that, like that, like that. Let's see, like this, like this. So when you get days like that, you normally do have some red days, and that's, you got to have red days. You got to have some selling days. And if you're a bear, you had amazing time. But yeah, it was due. I mean, that's why every single day in the afternoon room, everyone was asking me, when are we going to cash? When are we going to cash? Everyone's like, when are we going to cash? Because everyone knows there's no way you can just keep doing that. There's no way. I mean, it's impossible, right? The queues, look at the queues. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 days in a row of bullishness. So we absolutely need a pullback. Is this going to be a one-day event and that'll be that, and we just kind of bounce? It's possible. It's very possible. That's the crazy part. I mean, the thing is, you can't get a Santa rally without a sell-off. Someone said that in Slack, and I fully agree. So I'm totally down for something like this. I'm fine with it. I think it's a dip buying opportunity regardless. I think it's a really, really good play. I think it was a good amount of selling, and it's just kind of quick, and it happened, and that's that. So again, are we going to bounce tomorrow? I'm not entirely sure, but I think we'll bounce sooner than later. It just needed to sell off. Yeah, you had to have some selling come into play today. So that's realistically it. So that's the cues, right? Good double bottom, nice trend. Again, the funny part is, if you're thinking about where we've come, I mean, the broader markets are up 80% since March lows. 80%. And if you're talking about where we started the year, that's no slouch either. On the entire year, we're up 41%. I mean, that's just massive town. So I'm totally game for some pullbacks. We really, really needed it. If it caught you off guard, I don't think it caught anyone off guard. I mean, if you got stopped out on some things, great. I mean, you got to get stopped out on some stuff. I lost on every single day trade that I played today, and realized red on the day from the day trades. And swing trades, yeah, the whole account was red, everything. Now, the interesting part is, be prepared for this to happen more and more and more. It's one of my least favorite things when it happens, but it's very similar to this day right here, where, you're in a bunch of positions and it runs up, and then you get these random down days, and you feel like a moron. You feel like an idiot. You're like, I'm the stupidest person in the world. Why did I not sell yesterday? Right? I was profitable. I was green. If I had just sold yesterday, I could have won. And it's because you don't know how to tell the future. You're not a time traveling wizard. So you're going to have to hold through retracements. You're going to have to hold through dips. Right? I was down on every single position of my accounts today because pretty much everything sold off. Now, am I down overall or just today? And the answer is just today, right? Most of you are down on some positions just today, not overall, right? Your overall accounts, I'm sure, are up. I'm sure December's up. I'm sure November's up. I'm sure your P&L is just today. And that's going to happen. You're going to have pullbacks. We're going to have selling. And that's why knowing how to short, knowing how to buy puts, knowing how to day trade bearish, it is very, very important to know how to do. I don't know if this is going to be the exact top. I wouldn't imagine it is. I would love for a really, really sharp dip into some supports and that dip gets bought up. But either way, I'm a fan. I think this is just a nice, normal thing. I don't think there's anything crazy about today at all. It just seemed very normal to me, and that's pretty much it. Edward says, oh, having anxiety because I don't have a clue what's going on with my positions. So Edward's taking the 7-day don't look at your account challenge. He's starting that already. I will start that next week. On Friday, I won't look at my accounts all the week next week. I won't pull up anything. So just gonna let everything sit in there, have stops, have targets, have some protection, and just let it ride. Terry says, I started mine. John says 7 days, not looking at one trade is hard enough. Yeah, it's tough. But again, it builds that muscle. It builds the uncomfortable muscles. It builds the calluses of the mind and the heart to just simply not care. You know, that's the thing, is that sometimes you just can't, just don't care. Like I said yesterday, those who care least win most oftentimes. So this pullback was normal, perfect. It was needed. I'm glad it happened, and it doesn't feel that scary to me personally. Now there will be a time where I'm perfectly okay to go into cash and lock in some positions, but I don't think it's here yet. So, all right, that's it. That's the broader markets. Let's go look at some individual stocks. First on the list is YQ. So this one, type in a 4 if you can see that it's doing something a little different than the market. This is a brand new IPO. It IPO'd, had the high wave candle, and then closed above the high wave candle, retested the high wave candle. Type in a 44 into the chat pane if this looks like a day trade. Just like a really nice classic day trade. If anyone watches any of my day trades ever, it's like, you know this exact setup. High wave candle, get in above the high wave candle, get in bullish. So really nice trade, and the volume is just miraculous on this thing. Is this a Chinese company or something else that I'm just unaware of? Technology, service, and packaged software. 17 education. I need to do a little bit of research on it. Don't know much about it, but the trend is amazing. It is in the momentum. It looks like it's gapping. It probably should be one on the list because it just looks different than the market. On days like today, when a lot of things are black or bearish or down, the things that are up, focus on some of those because they're going to have just general relative strength. So tomorrow, I'll be in the day trading room, the beginner's room tomorrow, and we will look at and keep an eye on YQ, and we'll just watch it. We'll just see what it does. Thursday morning, YQ. And yeah, we'll just see. We'll just see. But maybe getting a dip buying opportunity at some point, right? If it rests for 3 or 4 days, maybe we do a really quick swing trade on it and just kind of capture some of the volatility and some of the movement. But it looks good. I mean, as far as charts are concerned. Edward says, yep, it is a China company. Cool. Very cool. All right, that's YQ. PENN, PENN. So PENN had a really strong breakout yesterday, and it does look like it's retesting today. So this was the all-time high breakout on PENN National Gaming. It hit 80 today and then started some selling. That's the interesting thing, is a lot of these candles that are bearish today really look a lot like retest candles. I mean, like today on PENN. I don't have any position in this one. I did try to get in when that hammer came in, and we set that up as a swing trade at one point. And the really cool part is there was another very nice hammer right here. What day is that on? That was on, yeah, just about a week and a half ago. So that was a nice hammer. This was a really brilliant one. I just saw it too late. We did set it up, just didn't fill, and then probably would have exited yesterday or today if we were in a swing trade, because it made a new high. But in essence, if you're looking at trading PENN National Gaming, it closed yesterday with a really strong close. Here's the weekly chart. All right, we've been consolidating sideways for a while. PENN's one of those that have just been absolutely on fire, monstrously bullish. And I would assume that trend's going to continue. So you have a hammer on a weekly chart as well. If you're playing this one, I would just simply look to buy the pullback into about 72-ish, buy low, sell high. And yeah, if you can get in at 72, buy the dip, trend is bullish, have a stop in place. Now Redfin is just fully crushed, right? Mr. Squiggles was wrong on this one. Although, you know, I knew it was going to go higher. I think everyone knew that Redfin would go higher, including those gentlemen who sold some puts. So we all knew that Redfin was going to go higher. I just thought it was going to rotate one more time before it just started crushing. So I didn't get nearly as much size on the retest as I wanted to. But if I just move it over here, it makes it look right. But anyway, yeah, Redfin, this was a good job. Well done, traders who sold some puts on Redfin. That's a great job. Craig Levine, I heard you might be in some shares of Redfin. So it made a new all-time high today. And again, just really, really good strength. Really good strength. So keep in mind, folks, this is still and always will be one of my favorite patterns. I mean, just, I can't describe enough how easy this pattern is. It does not always work, but when you have big bear volume in an uptrend, and then we close above that bear volume and it retest it, just get in. Right? So there's the close above the big bear volume. There's your other hammer with your other close. But when it closes above it, I mean, getting in somewhere on these 2 days, like that's the squeeze. And if you don't get in there, you get in on this day on the pullback, which is pulling back to the high of this candle. It's a very clean pattern. So you're getting in somewhere on one of these days. Also, type in a 7 if you can see it bouncing off of a moving average that some of you have used before and you kind of feel like you understand the concept of how to use that moving average. Any 7s? There we go. There's some 7s. So yeah, well done. Anyway, so that's really Redfin. I mean, at this point, I would just simply say, if you're not in, you missed it, and buy the dip. What I got. Craig says, I'm not in Redfin, just to be clear. I missed the pullback. Oh, I thought you were in. Oh, okay. All good. No big deal. Craig says, I sold. Oh, okay. Well, you sold for a profit. Good job. High five. Selling for profits is not missing it. That's called selling for a profit. It's always good. So yeah, Redfin, nice play. Weekly chart. Look at this hammer on a weekly. Type in a 6 if you know how to trade that. Woo! Yeah. Redfin. It's a nice one. Good trade. Good trade for anyone who played Redfin. All right, Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS. And Dick's. So this one, good chance if you played this hammer, you might have gotten stopped out today, most likely. Again, there was some selling and some rotation in the markets. It happens. If you bought off the 100 today, congrats. I'm not in Dick's Sporting Goods personally for no other particular reason than I can't be in everything. This was a nice one white soldier off of the 100 since you had some nice bullish move there. And you'll see that we haven't closed above this big bear candle yet. So we've come down to support. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing it, this is a buying zone. No question. Weekly chart, again, sometimes if you're looking at a company and you're trying to figure out if you should buy high or not, you just sometimes want to zoom out to the big picture. And this stock is more sideways than anything. I mean, if you bought it in 2007, it's the exact same price that was in March and June. You know, so it doesn't really have an amazing trend. So anyway, long story short, if you're playing it, cool. If you're buying it over here, cool. If you got stopped out today, great. Good try. And then buy around 49. If it starts filling this gap, that's where I would buy the dip on Dick's Sporting Goods. JKS has been a lot of fun for tons of traders. This has been just a jolly gee whiz of a trade for tons of people. So what I'll do is I'll pop into the hourly chart and you'll just see all of the supports. Look at this. Look at this. Just really, really good support zone. Around 57. It's nice. So again, I mean, if you request a JKS, if you're playing it, this is a support. Buy low, sell high. A pocket of liquidity would be probably around 52. It's trading sideways. Earnings are done. The 100 is pretty far away. Obviously, a lot of people are saying, well, could it break lower? And the answer is absolutely. Absolutely. We could get a nice bear candle like this that would close below support. And then you'd have to short the retest once it closed below support. And then it either rolls over or it doesn't. And that becomes a bear trap. So it just kind of depends on your perspective, your thought process on JKS, what you may like about it, what you may not like about it, long-term perspective, all that kind of good stuff. John says he got a few more shares at 57 for his retirement account. Fundamentals look good. See, there you go. I mean, that's a perfect example. I don't have any position on JKS, but just because I don't have anything doesn't mean you guys can't make money on it. So for me, I think this is a good buying zone. Yep. Adding some small shares, being in it. And if it pulls down to 44, I will be getting in as well. Okay, NVIDIA on the list. NVIDIA, here comes the rain. So NVIDIA pulling down to the 100 simple moving average. Finally, I think a lot of you have been waiting for that. So if you're playing NVIDIA, it's getting close to your buy zone. I mean, that's pretty much it. A lot of us have been waiting for it. I don't have any position on NVDA. I do believe it triggered Momo bearish the other day. And again, that doesn't mean you have to be in bearish, because I get it. It's been very choppy recently, but it did trigger short not too long ago. So yeah, Momo on NVIDIA, definitely choppy, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's because it's really consolidating, right? It has been sideways. We can see that it's been sideways. We can visually identify its sidewaysness really since back in October. You could probably start telling. Because again, when you're just talking about trends, once a stock does this and just runs up and has a huge, huge move, and we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars, rarely does it do this. I mean, again, Tesla is a rare, rare occurrence. The whole thing that Tesla did is extremely, extremely uncommon. And the vast majority of stocks will, once they run up like this, they'll chop around for a while. So anyway, long story short, on NVIDIA, I don't have any positions in this one. I know Matt DeLong is looking at selling some puts. If it comes down to the 100, put sales around 400 could be amazing for January if you want to own some shares of NVIDIA down at that level. So that'd be a great spot to sell some puts on NVIDIA if you want to buy some shares of a stock that was at $585 at $400, which is a little bit of a discount. That would be 30% off. Scott says, yes, please sign Scott McKay up for owning shares of NVIDIA at 400. Next on the list is LYFT, LYFT, the company that people only use after Uber doesn't work. And LYFT had a phenomenal consolidation. Really, really pretty. So good. Just gorgeous, gorgeous consolidation. And again, guys, I don't think this gap ever fills on LYFT. I don't think it does. I said that back then after it gapped. I don't think it ever fills. Look at this volume. Look at that volume. Look how many people are trapped. Geez Louise, sitting in trees eating cheese. Like, that is a crazy trap. And we gapped up. Craig says, is that institutional volume? Definitely. Really, really high, massive, massive volume. And then this was a big institutional buying spike. So once that closed above, I mean, that war was lost. This is a breakout gap on LYFT, guys. It is. You might not want it to be, but it is. There's a higher low now on LYFT. So here you go. So we have a higher low. You got the moving averages crossing. This trend is bullish now. Yeah, really, really good volume. Great moving averages. Beautiful. So obviously you're waiting for some kind of pullback. If you didn't get into this particular trade breakout, we talked about this one not too long ago, pretty much when this candle here on November 24th came in. we were talking about this trade and set that trade up for some traders. So if you're looking at playing lift, yes, you want to buy a pullback. It really does look like the whole trend and chart has shifted on this thing. So I'm going to keep an eye on in this one to absolutely buy a pullback on lift. I'll put it on the list for next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, LYFT. John says the monthly looks yummy. I agree. Okay, here's Nordstrom, JWN, and Nordstrom retail. We actually did take this as a swing trade and made like 1.2 Rs on it down here. And then, you know, the Biden gap or the vaccine gap, whatever you want to call it, just gone. Gonzo, Nordstrom, Crank City. Amazing style moves. I mean, all of these stocks we're fine now. Back to fine. 2 days later, and we're good. So much money being made in the last few weeks by some traders. So again, if you're just feeling elated, if you're feeling on top of the world, if you're like, man, I have been dominating it, I can't do anything wrong. That's when it gets really close to the top, when you feel that way. I mean, unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But that trend, in my opinion, is almost too strong to not have at least one dip that gets bought up off of it. So I don't have any positions on Nordstrom right now, but if you do, congrats. Yeah, buy low, sell high. Really interesting. All right, Chevron definitely putting some work in. Here's CVX. And Chevron closed above this big bear volume on November 9th as well. So you had the big close, you had the consolidation, and then it broke above, and then it retested. So it retested that old resistance, new support on Chevron. And if you're looking at playing Chevron in some form or fashion, I think getting it down here, back down there would make a lot of sense. It might even make a lot of dollars. If it pulls back down to like the mid 80s and you give an opportunity to buy the dip down there for potentially a short-term swing, or yeah, I mean, that's probably, you know, or you could start getting in some longer-term stuff if you want. I'm not really intrigued by Chevron. I don't think it's that sexy, but it does have a decent dividend. This is a retest gap. And again, it's a gap I do not think ever fills. I think we could retest and then we probably go higher. The reason I think Chevron is starting to slow down a little bit is, again, that 200 simple on a weekly. That was a resistance. That was it. So yeah, the daily chart looks pretty good. And that's what I got. All right, Tandem Diabetes, TNDM. Ooh, this looks like a nice chart. It's gapping up a little bit pre-market. Big volume on this tiny day on June 26th. Interesting. Weekly chart. One of those, I don't know if it's a bear flag. So you see how it's dropping and you got like these tiny little consolidations. So I don't know if it's going to do this or that. I'm not sure. But the overall trend is bullish. So I'd have to be more bullish than bearish. Justin says, I remember trading this around $15. Yeah, man. Yep. Not that long ago either. 2018. Until a bunch of people started getting diabetes. I guess. I don't know. Diabetes. Oh, I got the sugars. Let's see if it pulls back. I mean, 79/80 would be amazing. Look at this hammer. But that's most stocks, right? That's COVID. So most stocks had the COVID hammer and then poof, took out from there. So Tandem, I actually do like this Morningstar reversal on the 200 possible double bottom. Let me zoom in on an hourly chart just to see how I would play it. Zoom in because it looks like it's gapping up a little bit post-market on very light volume. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let me come back to this one because I haven't planned it. Let's see if we can, how we make it official tomorrow. if we do. So Thursday, TNDM. Okay. Next on the list is the only company that matters, Tesla. So Tesla getting the pullback, getting a little bit of a dip. So I got some put sales at 300 for March, and I know my Tesla. I know it real well, and it gapped up and just sold off. It just does it. It does look similar to September. Yes, it does. It really, really does. So September had a 33% pullback from the highs, which means, oh heavens, no way. No way it would just come right back down to the 100 simple moving average again. That'd be too easy. I don't think it does, though. I don't think it does. T says, should you buy puts? No. Craig says, no way it's coming to 420. It's never been down there before, right, Craig? Never. Tesla hates trading to 420 and bouncing. That's its least favorite thing to do. So yeah, Tesla's at 604. And where should we start pyramiding in on Tesla? That's what everyone's been asking me. So here we go. I will give you a pyramid of what I'm planning on Tesla. Again, all right, because you always want to have numerous limits. So this one will be my pretty big one, and then I have the put sales. Terry, I'm going to go with options shares right now, because the options, man, have just been really weird. Like they're still super strange right now. I wish they weren't as weird, but the implied volatility is being back to just silly. It's getting really silly. All right. So there you go. Those are some levels that if you want to buy Tesla, those are some of the prices that I will consider buying Tesla shares. Again, on a dip for the 438th time. My Tesla analysis. So the trend is bullish. I do think it can go down. Obviously, so just a quick, heads up. Would you buy 9 shares here, or would you buy 900 shares there at 572? Which one, as an example? Yeah, you'd go the smaller size, right? Smaller size on top. If you're doing 900 shares, buy 900 shares down there at 420. If you're like, that's a lot of shares, we have traders that have many, 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 many more shares than that on Tesla. So very nice bearish engulfing pattern. It does look super similar to this, this day over here. So those are some limit buys. I got the put sales at 300 for March. I would love to own some shares at 300 in March. And that's pretty much it. Tesla, it's going to sit back, relax, and let it do its thing. All right. That's the analysis on that one. Big lots, BIG, Morningstar reversal, bearish gap and go the other day, trading to a support. I'd love to short something, but it's like today was the only day to short something, and big lots was up. So what does that tell you? Yeah, I don't have any position on this one, guys. Buy the dip, 40.57 if you want in. Big lots. Yep, I'd have a buy order right here, right below all these entries, and just wait it out. That's all I got on big lots. I mean, it's a strong gap. I'd love to short this one, but it literally went up the day the whole market dropped. So riddle me that. Dropbox, the one stock that I can't ever trade profitably, other than Rocket Mortgage. So Dropbox and RKT, haven't won on those since 1943. I like this bull Marubozu candle followed by a bear hammer. That's not bad. Weekly chart. I would just buy don't listen to whatever I'm about to say because, not like it's going to work. But if I was playing Dropbox, that's how I would have to play it. And again, if there was ever a time for Dropbox to be great and do amazing and its stock to perform, it'd have to be during COVID. But apparently not. Tim says, do you still dislike Dropbox? The company? The user interface? Yes, with my whole heart. With my whole being. Google Drive is so much better, says Robert Falco. Yep, that is a factual statement. Okay, so that's Dropbox. I don't have any position in that one. RIG. RIG. RIG Transocean. I remember selling puts on this thing like a maniac at 12 and 10 all the way back here. I never got put any shares, and I guess I'm kind of glad that I didn't because this thing just kept on getting squash-buckled. So RIG, trade down to support. It was worth 82 cents. This is a weekly chart. Robert says, this company still exists. Yeah, man. Until they pivot to start creating batteries. Once they can start drilling batteries and pulling batteries out of the ground, then they'll start going higher. But until then, yeah, they're riding the struggle bus a little bit. Really interesting amount of volume here. High wave candle, $2 a share. It actually looks intriguing to go long on it, although that would be almost like burning money to go long on this stock. Just because it looks like it could break out. Nah, I'll just wait. I'll just wait. RIG, there's other companies to trade. Kind of like Apple. Apple, really nice resistance, ran into 125. And what I like about Apple a lot is it is now forming an absolutely brilliant, so pretty rising triangle. Look at this. That's a thing of beauty. Now, if I know Apple, like I think I know Apple, it'll probably do one of these guys. And then probably gap down here in March and then absolutely rampage. I think that's worst case scenario on Apple. That's what I think. I think that's worst case. Robert says, save that. Yeah. So we'll see. Again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that's worst case scenario. I would buy a lot of Apple if it came down to that 95 level. Now, again, the other scenario is this breakout holds and then it just runs and goes into 150 by April. That's also extremely possible. So we will see. We will see, but I like the triangle. The pressure's building. The weekly chart looks good. The trend looks good. We shall see. Next on the list is AMWL, AMWL. And AMWL, I did sell a small size on AMWL today. Very, very tiny. Do you guys remember me going on a 6-minute tirade on AMWL on this day right here, telling you guys I was going to be buying 1,000 shares of it and it's either going to go to 0 or go to 40? Yeah. So I'm in AMWL. Yeah. So 40, just going to let it sit back and do its thing. I did, again, sell very, very small size of it. I like the high wave candle. I like the resistance. It did have a very nice bounce, and I don't really specifically see any real reason to get out. It's just a bare high wave candle today. So realistically, we closed above all of this volume. We closed above that volume. So from here, for me, I mean, if it pulls back and retests that, brilliant. I'll buy more. We pull back down there, I'll probably buy another 1,000 shares, and then I'll increase my stop, and I'll have a stop at 20. So, because right now my stop is non-existent. I don't have one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If it goes back up to 40, we can just sell it, and that'll be a nice win. It'll be good. So that's American Well Corporation. I think Tabitha's in some shares of that one. Here's Blink 182, BLNK. And the only thing, my only regret of the year is buying only 182 shares of Blink 182, Blink charging stations. It's the only regret I have on the year. Very nice weekly hammer. Craig says, you still own it? 182, man. 182. I figured there was not enough to really ever sell. Craig says, who else owns Blink 182? Nitro says, I never liked the band. What? So Brandon Blevins made some serious money on Blink at one point. I mean, I would just say buy the dip, I would assume. I mean, you had the EV surge in November. You know, if it was batteries and ran on electric charge, it went up in November. Is it going to go higher? Probably. I mean, look at this brilliant hammer. It's probably what Craig Levine played. Craig is a hammer fiend. I mean, 24.21 with a stop at 21.56. Nice little almost $10 run up from there. Really, really good hammer. So my assumption is if it breaks above these tweezer top candles, it was going to go higher. And if it pulls back to 20, I'd probably buy some. And if it pulls back to 13, I'd probably buy some more. For me, I'll probably just trail my 182 shares and see what I can do from there. I want to know where the gold's at. So let me go look at Barrick's gold, GOLD. So this is one a lot of people have been asking about, and kind of my analysis on it has been, let's just see if we can get it lower. That's realistically it. Let's see if we can get it to pull back to 20. Let's call it 1988. So the daily chart, we're trading sideways. It had a really, I mean, this is a bearish island reversal right up here. So not the greatest signal. And then you had a hammer candle there. The very next day, it closed below the hammer candle. The very next day. So closed below, and then it retested 3 or 4 days later and just kept going lower. So yeah, my assumption is if it breaks above here, be long. Otherwise, I think it could eventually go down to 19, and that's where you'd probably want to get some. If you're looking at going long, that could be where. GAN, GAN. Nice hammer on GAN. It did have a little bit of a pop today. Momo got triggered on GAN today. It did. Yep, you guys are right. Okay, well, so if I were to play Momo on GAN, I would get in above here. 16.18, and my stop would be 15.58. Daily chart is Momo bearish. High wave bear candle. I want to play GAN. I'm going to wait until it breaks above the 100, and then I'll start playing GAN. We did play it with this hammer over here. It was a very nice hammer. We got out for a very small win. It wasn't anything gratuitously amazing, but let's keep waiting that one out. Let's see what it does. Next on the list, OZON, OZON. So OZON, this is one that sold off pretty much with the entire market today. So it is a retest gap, and it's good to see that it actually sold off. That's nice. That means that we'll have an opportunity to most likely get some at some point. I'm watching this one really, really closely, and I think we should just kind of keep an eye on it. Let's see if it can pull back down eventually into here. Robert says site is blocked in Ukraine, apparently. Still trying to find more info. Yep, I can respect that. OZON. Bearish engulfing candle. Yeah, for right now, I think we can just keep waiting. But again, really getting close above this volume and gapping above this volume and retesting that volume, I would really like to buy it. pretty much like that if it can pull down low enough. 41.17 by 37, something like that. I mean, you definitely would have a stop on this trade. Don't know anything about the company. So if you are trading that one, I'll put down the list for someone to check out next Tuesday. Next on the list is Salesforce CRM. Salesforce with the bear candle today. So pretty much coming down to the same support that it bounced off of before. So again, it could bounce again. Here's the hourly chart on Salesforce. Hourly chart on Salesforce, to me, is actually at a decent support. Danny said, sold some puts on it. Nice. Where at? Give me some info. Probably a great day to sell some puts on Salesforce. You most likely sold the 190 or 200 January something. 210. All right. A little bit more aggressive. I like it. When do those expire? December? Danny F. January. Got it. Okay, so a lot of traders doing some stuff on Salesforce. Brandon got filled on 270 January leaps. Hector got filled in on a 240 call option for January 2022. Got it. Right on. Well, there we go, boys. We'll see what it does. I understand why you would be getting in long down here. It does make sense, right? Strong company and a really, really nice uptrend. Obviously, we know it can go lower, but this is a lot of bear volume on the weekly chart, and the 50 EMA is around 208. That's where I'm going to be a lot more intrigued and inclined about going long. If it gets down there, is down here, I'll definitely play it a little bit more aggressive. Danny says this one acquired Slack. Yep, that is currently the correct assumption. So Slack technology is being acquired by Salesforce. Hey, we were right on this one though, weren't we? We did talk about Slack a lot being bought out. I mean, we talked about that forever. All up in here saying, man, this is a great potential acquisition. Like we talked about Microsoft buying it. We talked about Google buying it. We talked about everyone other than Salesforce. I never said Salesforce was going to buy it, but it makes sense. So, yeah. Anyway, that is Slack Technologies. All right. What do we got? Spotify, SPOT, and Spotify barely pulling back. Nice hammer on spot. Yeah, pretty nice hammer. I don't know if it's going to go higher or not, but let's see if it can trade sideways a day or two, and we might consider taking that setup. A lot of people are looking at Spotify to pull back all the way into 300. And if that happens, that'd be really, really fun. I just don't know if it's going to. So Spotify will continue to wait and see what it does. Just going to wait in that one out, letting it do its thing. Amazon doing what Robert Falco said it was going to do, which is most likely trap some people before going higher. So I got into January 8th, 3,000 puts on Amazon today. We talked about it yesterday. So yesterday we said if it closes below this hammer, get into some puts. So it closed below the hammer. So I got in some puts. We'll see. Again, if you're in this marked position, you're probably down just a little bit on it. It is March, if you remember. March being not February. And earnings are in February. So we'll have December numbers. We'll have January, New Year's. We'll have earnings in February. We have time. So these puts are just a protection. If it retests a little bit and trades a little bit lower, maybe down into here, I'll sell the puts, use the proceeds from the puts to buy more of those. If I lose on the puts, then I won't buy more of those. I'll just kind of wait until we trade sideways. And again, as I mentioned the other day, worst case scenario, if Amazon just trades sideways and we end up losing that position, I'll try to buy more down there, down into the $2,700 range. So we shall see. All right, that's Amazon. Next on the list is QS. QS, QuantumScape. Hashtag Duracell batteries. This one gapping up huge. Tons of people are like, how come I didn't see QuantumScape coming? I'm like, I don't know. Because they don't do anything. I mean, it makes sense why I didn't see them coming. QuantumScape has made nothing at all at any point in time in its history. It might make something maybe in 2025. So anyway, yeah, it's running up. Huge gap, massive candle, big indecision. No idea what the heck it's going to do other than probably sell off at some point and then maybe get a dip buying opportunity. Can't really short it. I'm not going to go long on it. So I'm not going to do anything. We'll see. Christian said, sold a put, made $500 and closed it already at an 80% return on the put sale. Nice, Christian. Taking advantage of the implied volatility. Well done. Selling puts is cool when the market goes up, when the stock goes up. Yep. Awesome stuff, man. I mean, really, in essence, you did have some okay signals to get in long yesterday at the close of this candle, for sure. And I like this little new white soldier on this one, a little bit of a hammer candle on this one. So I get it. It makes sense. You know, especially on this day, November 27th, getting some on that day or getting a pullback on that day. Either way, massive gap up. I would just say be cautious, be careful. Don't buy up here, buy lower than it is now for sure. Mongo database, brilliant on Mongo database. This is one that Matt DeLong did his best to do a weekly options newsletter on, and the options just got really sucked out on that particular day, unfortunately. A lot of people got stopped out, but the analysis was perfect. Just the options sucked. So getting in calls on that day, selling them right at closed yesterday would have worked out well, or, you know, obviously could have held over earnings. You know, Mongo was a good trade for me. I've traded Mongo a few different times. Bought it down here, sold it there, bought some down here, sold it there, bought some over here, sold it there. It's good. So big upper shadow, all-time high on Mongo database. Let's see what it does. The trend just keeps on climbing right now. And let's see if it can pull back. And if it pulls back, buy the dip. All right, here's Qualcomm, QCOM. Qualcomm, all-time high, big bear volume on the 5th of November. Really big volume. So here's a support resistance. If it pulls back to 149.26, that's the spot to be long. That's really it. Super easy. Nice volume. It's good. I mean, if you're playing Qualcomm, that's really it. That stock is just slowly grinding higher. Looks pretty impressive. All right. Next on the list is LYN, L-E-N. Lennar Corporation. Don't have much on this one. Earnings around the corner. Small hammer. If you're playing it bullish, right, get in above the high, stop below the low. Otherwise, it's out of support. 200 simple moving average is at 64.26. Weekly chart trading sideways. Again, I don't personally have any positions on this one. If you're playing it, though, I would just play it off the 2005 highs. Old resistance, new support around 66. So if you're looking at a nice little location to buy it, that is where I would. All right, we've got a few more to go. Procter & Gamble, chilling. You have a pennant pattern at the 100 simple moving average on one of the most blue chip stocks of all time. So if you're playing Procter & Gamble, right, I mean, if you play it bearish, that's fine, but be very quick about it. Let it trade down to some support down here in the low 130s and then just hop in, I guess. I don't know if it's ever going to pull back to, I mean, yeah, it'll probably pull back to 127 at some point. If it pulls back to 127, that's where I'd have to go long. Yeah, Procter & Gamble, steady Eddie, the slow burn, good trends. Be more bullish than bearish on Procter & Gamble. Next on the list is NLS, Nautilus. And Nautilus, you did pull back to a good support. This is a stock that's just been on absolute fire. Really massive. Big volume came in down here in April, gapping off of the pennant pattern, breaking above the COVID highs, closing. I mean, it was just an absolute scorcher. Earth scorcher. And now it's pulling back finally. So I don't know if the 100 simple is going to stop this pullback or not, because it was just such a cataclysmically bullish stock. It just really needed to pull back. We can watch it. I'll put it on the list for Thursday, and if nothing on Thursday, then have someone look at it next week. But realistically, it is at the 100. I get that. You had a hammer yesterday. Totally understand. It's not a bad setup if you're in. I get why you would be. But also, too, it's just, I feel like it's just so high. Like it had such a big run up. Usually when stocks run up that much, they just need a little bit more of a pullback, First Solar. So FSLR, bear candle today, closing below the pennant pattern. And again, just going to hang out. I am out of my calls on First Solar. And if we pull back to the 100 simple moving average, which is around $75.39, I'll get back into some positions on First Solar. But right now it's going to hang out and let it do its thing. All right. Pinterest. So I did get out of this covered call on Pinterest. So I bought back the covered call at 37 cents. So this was a December call. So I made my money on it. Probably most likely could have just held that one until expiration, but I got out, and that's really it on Pinterest. It made a nice new all-time high today. This pink line is what I think is not worst case scenario, but potentially, worst case scenario, playing this hammer on a weekly chart. So realistically, I'm going to wait for another decent up day on Pinterest, and I will probably at that point sell the 85 or 90 covered call that expires before earnings. So again, I think this is potentially a worst case scenario just because we haven't hit the 50 in forever. And that's pretty much what I got. So Edward says we got a kaboom. Starship kaboomed. SN8 did not land. It crashed. That's, oh well. Pinterest. That's what we got. Workhorse. I want to see how Workhorse was going to close today, and it closed a little bit like I thought it might, with a decent upper shadow. We played a hammer on this one before, and I'm going to keep an eye on if we're going to play a hammer again. I'm going to come back and look at Workhorse tomorrow. The reason I'm intrigued on it down here is because it came down to the 100 and you have a little bit of a hammer. And we played a hammer off the 100 simple before back in November, and that trade worked out really well. So I'm going to put Workhorse on the list again for tomorrow and just see if that works out. So that's Workhorse. Peter said he got stopped out of it today. All righty. Great try. And then last but not least is FUV. FUV. The low of this candle is almost perfect. I mean, this is like a 9 out of 10. Really good double bottom. Craig's got a covered call for January, and that is a delicious hammer. Can't argue that. It's perfect. It's really good. If this candle low was just a little bit lower, it'd be perfect. But very, very nice hammer. I love that. If it looks good tomorrow, we'll set up and make it official for a swing trade. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very fun. All right. Let me put on the list what I have written down for tomorrow. And then I will get your guys' request. Door and dash, big C, DQ, tandem, TMHC, BCO, workhorse, and FUV. CureVac, CVAC, AYX, BABA, NVAX, Zoom, USA, Taiwan Semiconductors, DraftKings, Workday, SLCA, JMIA, AMD, Zillow, Cloudera, Teladoc, SFIX, Google, Plug. Cool. On that note, let's just go look at some of the stocks. Plug did fill our official swing trade. So Plug filled. So that is in. So everyone who said that they want to get in, well, you're in now. Fastly, FSLY. So Fastly really was just a pullback today in essence. I mean, you know, it's an inside day candle, definitely down 7%, but it is an inside candle. So Fastly kind of just doing its thing. I just love this candle's close. It's really pretty. Yeah, so DraftKings, DKNG. So DraftKings did actually end up filling. At one point during the day, we were 20 cents away from it, and then the market pooped its pants, and then DraftKings came all the way back and filled. So this actually did fill at 48.86. So that filled on DraftKings. Smile Direct, SDC, has not filled yet, and it may or may not, but I'm going to leave it down there for 1103 to try to kind of, you know, buy the pullback. Datadog, which is ticker symbol DDOG, got triggered in and stopped out today. So in one day, that one got in and got stopped out. It was an aggressive entry. I agree. I mean, it was a little bit of a high entry, but it's going to happen sometimes. ONEM has not triggered yet. So that one hasn't triggered. And yeah, Twitter looked really nice at one point during the day. So Twitter had a nice upper shadow on Twitter for Ricky's weekly options newsletter from a while ago. And then SIRI, we'll look at it more tomorrow, but it was a great gap. Some people hit the target at 704. If you had your extended hours turned on, it hit the other day, right? When it traded up to 713. So if you were in it at that point, it worked out. So anyway, I will update some of my numbers today, but yep, definitely a bearish day. Not a big deal. Very good November, extremely good December. All is nice. Going to lose on some trades sometimes, folks. It's just part of it. I am so excited to see you all in class 3. If you've liked the first 2 classes of the Trader Psychology program, you're going to love the third one. Thank you so much for being here, folks. I love you all. And until next time, love life, and trade it. Bye.